When maintaining your daily wellness rituals is important to you, the change in routine during the summer can feel daunting. Kachava's new travel packs help you stick to your daily ritual, even when you're on the go. Just one packet of Kachava's all-in-one nutrition shake provides complete nutrition with 25 grams of protein, 6 grams of fiber, greens, adaptogens, and much more. So you'll be fueled and ready for wherever life or your summer adventures take you. No fillers, no nonsense. Just the good stuff your body craves. Plus, it actually tastes delicious. But you can try it for yourself because the variety pack includes all 6 delicious fan favorites: chocolate, vanilla, chai, matcha, coconut acai, and strawberry. So instead of worrying about sticking to your daily ritual, simplify it with Kachava. Go to kachava.com and use code NEWS for 15% off. That's KACHAVA.com, code NEWS.
Am I the only one that thinks that fairy tales are really dark and wonder why we tell these really scary things to our kids? Well, the origins of fairy tales are even darker, things we would never tell our kids. I don't know how this all came about, but we're going to talk about it. So buckle up, because this is Life in Jest. Welcome to this week's episode of Life in Jest. I'm sorry to tell you that Pascal was unable to join me today, so I am solo. I am Selene Castrovilla, and then she always says, and I'm Pascal, but there's no Pascal today. Nevertheless, we're going to proceed. It's going to be a bit of an abbreviated episode. I always say that, and then I go on and on and on, but I'm going to try to keep it this way because I don't have much time to edit it. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what you guys wind up hearing. That'll be fun. Next week, we're going to have a psychic on that we met. She did a reading at a library on Long Island, and let me tell you, she proved herself to both of us. So we're going to have her on. People always ask specific questions about people they've lost. I certainly was there to communicate with Casey. And I've lost a lot of people, but really Casey, the main one, my son. Pascal also had people she wanted to communicate with. But few people actually ask general questions of a medium or a psychic or someone's a medium, I guess, and a psychic. That's a good question to define all these different terms. But we're going to be interviewing her about how she discovered her powers and all these things, and just basic questions about the rules of being a psychic, the rules with the departed people, and what is this thing about the spirit guides they talk about. These are all questions that I'm interested in, but we never ask them because we're so concerned with our own specific questions. So we're going to be asking her general questions about mediumship. And I invite you to give us your questions if you have any. And you can send them to lifeingestpodcast@gmail.com. Again, it's lifeingestpodcast@gmail.com. But you need to send them by 3 p.m. on Friday, May 15th. We're going to be interviewing her that night. So sorry if this is a rerun, or sorry if you're listening later, but you cannot send your question any longer if that's the case. You can still listen to the episode. Sure, it's going to be great, but we haven't experienced it yet. So for today, I did want to talk about the origins of fairy tales. I had a teacher who was of German descent, a writing teacher when I was in my MFA program at the New School for creative writing. And he started talking about fairy tales. I was not pleased with how this class was going because he told us to write a story, and then for the rest of the semester, every week, we had to reimagine this story in another way. He didn't make it clear that it was going to have to be a story that we would be so attached to for the entire semester, but he always wanted us to do it in a different way. Very basic things like put it in first person, put it in third person. And one of the things he said was make it a fairy tale. I didn't want to make it a fairy tale. I didn't want to work on this thing. I didn't like it at all. But he told us about a fairy tale from Germany, and I'm sure it's where Edward Scissorhands came from because it's about a Scissorhands guy. We don't really have anything that equates to it here, but I thought it was just so horrific. And the story goes that a little boy was sucking his thumb, and his mother said, "You have to stop. You have to stop, or the Scissorhand man is going to come and cut your thumb off." And he didn't stop, and the Scissorhand guy came and cut his thumb off. And then he's bleeding out, right? He's bleeding out. And then the mother comes home, and instead of trying to save her son, she goes, "The Scissorhand man came. Well, I told you. Now you're going to die." And she's like laughing at him while he's dying. Literally, this is what the story is, okay? I was horrified. Sure you are too. This explains a lot about German people. No offense if you're German, but you know what I mean. They can be a little blunt. And then there was that whole thing with World War II. But we're over that, I guess. I don't know. I'm sorry if you're German. I'm sure you're lovely. I mean, it's just a blanket statement, and it's wrong, I'm sure, except that is a really harsh fairy tale. I remember when I wrote By the Sword, my first book. It's about retreating from the Battle of Long Island, and Washington saved all his men. The Hessians were in it. They were German mercenaries hired by the British. They were paid soldiers, basically hired to slaughter the American army. In the end of the book, they're coming down the hill, and they fire on the hero of the story, Benjamin Talmadge, and the boat, and they fire repeatedly. They fire their guns, they fire cannon. And I remember my editor said, "This is not going to go over well with the Germans." I mean, I don't know what to do. It happened. I'm not saying all Germans are mercenaries that are going to go out and kill, they don't work for hire to murder people. I'm just saying the Hessians were mercenaries that were hired to kill the American army. And it's confusing because a lot of times you'll read something and it'll say the Hessians, and like, who are these guys? How did they get here? So that's how it goes, guys. I don't know. I'm drinking red wine, by the way, in case you're wondering. I'm just not going to edit it. I'm just going to let it roll wherever it goes. And I'm not against anybody, and this is not blanket statements about entire nationalities. I'm just saying the things that I've learned, that's all. So now I found a blog about the origins of fairy tales. It's by Shauna Delacourt at Blogspot. So that is where I'm getting all this information. She happens to be another author with the Wild Rose Press who is publishing my upcoming book, Love the Ones You're With, under the pseudonym S.J. Perrault, which is Perrault. I'm the only person in the world that has chosen a pseudonym that is also hard to pronounce. I realized I could have done like Star, I could have done Moon, or whatever, and those things are just coming to my mind. But instead Perrault, which is French, like Hercule Poirot, but people are often trying to say it as Perrault. Well, whatever. What am I going to do? I don't know why I did that. I do know why I did it. I wanted to be on a bookshelf next to Tom Perrotta, so I chose Perrault. Now I'm saying Perrault. What? It doesn't really matter. It's a made-up name. So really, what's in a name for sure? I chose to be on a bookshelf next to Tom Perrotta in a world where people hardly ever even go to bookstores anymore. Well, that sounds harsh too. Go to bookstores, but I don't know why I did it. He wrote that book called Mrs. Fletcher, which is about a mother whose kid goes to college and she kind of has a sexual awakening. And that was the closest comp I had in my mind to Love the Ones You're With. She's a mother also that has a sexual awakening post-divorce. Both of them are post-divorce. So that's why I chose the name. It was a kind of a strange reason. What are you going to do? You might have ascertained that I am strange and I do things. I don't think it was impulsive. I thought about it for months. I just don't know. What can I tell you? That's my name. People seem to be embracing it. It's okay. So as for the origins of fairy tales, they date back thousands of years, and they often have fantasy creatures and talking animals. They often have enchantments and far-fetched events as part of the plot. Unlike legends and folklore tales, they seldom contain any references to religion, actual places, persons, or events. The term once upon a time is used rather than an actual reference to a date. The early written fairy tales of the literary type definitely contain strictly adult material, which you will here. In many instances, they are quite gruesome, and they became more children's fairy tales in the 19th and 20th centuries. There are two theories that have attempted to explain the common elements in the text of the different fairy tales found spread over many continents. One theory is that a tale comes from a single source and spreads from culture to culture over time. And a good example of this is the story of Aladdin, his flying carpet, magic lamp, and the genie. Disney made an animated movie of this. The original tale came from China. The other theory is that these tales reference common human experience from many cultures, and over time, they evolved into tales of similar human experiences. The first written fairy tales were from ancient Egypt and occurred around 1300 BC. And it is amazing to find very similar stories and plots occurring in folklore from different countries at different times and in totally different cultures. Many of our most pervasive stories can be found in the tales of the Brothers Grimm, and even earlier, they've been challenged a great deal along the way. There's a lot of blinding, sexual misconduct, and death, and they've been scrubbed away in the last century or so. None of the stories with people getting nailed into barrels and thrown down hills or into ponds have made it into the mainstream. Okay, so the earliest versions of Sleeping Beauty were published in 1634. So the princess in Sleeping Beauty does not prick her finger on a spindle, but instead she gets a sliver of flax stuck under her fingernail. Flax is supposed to be very healthy. They have a lot of recipes about flax, but in this case, it doesn't work out for Sleeping Beauty. So she gets the flax stuck under her fingernail. She falls down, apparently dead, but her father cannot face the idea of losing her, so he lays her body on a bed in one of his estates. Later, this is going to get gross in a minute, guys.
This podcast is sponsored by Talkspace. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and Talkspace, the leading virtual therapy provider, is sharing the message that connection is crucial because good relationships are an essential and sometimes overlooked component of mental well-being. If your relationships could use some strengthening, a licensed therapist from Talkspace can help. Therapy can help you communicate better with loved ones, repair conflicts, and understand how to address loneliness and build community. It's easy to sign up. Just go to Talkspace.com and you'll be paired with a therapist within 2 days. You'll meet with your therapist online on your schedule. Plus, Talkspace is in-network with most major insurers, and most insured members have a $0 copay. Make personal connections a priority and start today. If you're not covered by insurance, get $80 off your first month with Talkspace when you go to Talkspace.com and enter promo code SPACE80. That's SPACE80. To match with a licensed therapist today, go to Talkspace.com and enter promo code SPACE80.
When it comes to weight loss, you don't need more advice. You need more of what works. That's Weight Watchers, designed for one thing: better weight loss results. With real coaches who show up week after week and host workshops and Q&As on a schedule that works for you. And real tools designed to take the guesswork out of what to eat, how to move, and how to build habits that actually last. Because real results don't just come from more advice. They come from the support to follow through. That's why Weight Watchers Core Plus members lose 3.5 times more weight than people who do it on their own. Get more of what works with Weight Watchers Core Plus. More tools, more support, more personalization, more of what actually works. Get started today at WeightWatchers.com. In a 6-month clinical trial of over 370 people, those using Weight Watchers saw significantly better results than those following standard nutritional advice alone. See the 2025 study published in the AJCN.
Later, a king out hunting in the woods finds her, and since he can't wake her up, rapes her while she's unconscious. Well, of course, if you can't wake someone up, the obvious thing to do is to rape them, right? I mean, I think that makes a lot of sense. Oh, my God. Then he heads home to his own country. Well, he's like, okay, I'm going to rape this girl, and my bad, I better go home. All right. So sometime after that, still unconscious, great, she gives birth to 2 children. Oh, my God. So she's like Karen Ann Quinlan giving birth. I mean, this is really, really awful. How do you give birth when you're unconscious, by the way? Because don't you have to push? There must have been a C-section. I don't know. Doesn't say. So she gives birth to 2 children, and one of them accidentally sucks the splinter out of her finger, so she wakes up. All it took was to get the splinter out of her finger. Wow. So the king who raped her is already married. Ew. But he burns his wife alive so he and the princess can be together. Oh, my God. Oh my God. I don't know what to say about this fairy tale. To keep everything morally sound, the wife tries to kill and eat the babies first. So his wife tried to kill and eat the babies first, and then he burned his wife alive. This is like a really, really dark episode of Knots Landing. Oh my God. It's definitely not the type of story to tell children at bedtime. Wow. Okay. I really don't know what to say about that. So, my God, I can't get over that. It's okay that he burned his wife alive because she did try to kill and eat the babies. Well, I mean, this whole thing, what is going on? Who eats babies? Oh my God. Okay. Let's go on to Little Red Riding Hood. The Brothers Grimm actually made this story a lot nicer than it was originally when they got their hands on it. The original version was from 1697, and there is no huntsman. So there's no guy that comes around at all. It's just Little Red strips naked and gets into bed. What? Why are people stripping naked in a fairy tale? Okay. This is just so odd. But then she dies because she's been eaten by the big bad wolf. But then there's another even darker version when she eats her own grandmother before being eaten by the big bad wolf. I don't know what's going on. In the Chinese version of the story, it is a tiger instead of a wolf that is the villain and eats the girl. Okay. My God. All right. Here is Rumpelstiltskin. This story is pretty simple. The miller's daughter is trapped and forced to spin straw into gold or be killed. A little man appears to her and spins it for her, but he says that he will take her child in payment unless she can guess his name. In the Grimm's fairy tale, when she finally figures out Rumpelstiltskin's name, he yells, "The devil told you that." He stamps his right foot so hard that he drives it into the ground right up to his waist. Then he takes hold of his left foot with both hands and tears himself in two. All right, well, at least he didn't kill the girl or her kids. It's certainly not acceptable for children, but look, at least he did it to himself. Fine. I'll accept that Rumpelstiltskin tore himself in two. So here's Cinderella. Let's see what happened. In the Grimm story, not only do the stepsisters cut off parts of their feet in order to fit into the glass slipper, and blood is pooling in the shoes, and that gives them away. My God, what is wrong with everybody? But at the end, the sisters have their eyes pecked out by doves just for good measure. I mean, what is going on here? My God, I don't know what to say. Okay, Snow White. In the original 1812 Grimm Brothers version, the evil queen is Snow White's actual mother rather than the stepmother, which makes the story even more terrifying. Oh my God. The Disney version also left out the fact that the queen sends the huntsman out to bring back Snow White's liver and lungs, which she then means to eat. In the Grimm version, she's not in a deep sleep when the prince finds her. She's dead. The prince, being an enthusiastic participant in necrophilia, is taking her dead body to the castle when his servant trips, jostles the coffin, and dislodges the poison apple from her throat. And once again, the Grimms give a story a gruesome consequence for the villain. When the queen shows up at Snow White's wedding, she's forced to step into iron shoes that had been cooking in the fire, and then she dances until she falls down dead. Well, I guess she had it coming, right? Wow. Hansel and Gretel. This story is pretty horrific already. Let's see. The evil stepmother abandons the children to die in the forest. They happen upon a cannibalistic witch's cottage who fattens them up so she can eat them. They outwit, then kill the witch and escape. The Grimm version is basically the same, but in an early French version called The Lost Children, there's an even more gruesome ending, which she doesn't say, so it must have been pretty bad. Rapunzel. Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair. In the Grimm version, she does just that for a prince on numerous occasions and winds up pregnant. Oh my God. How did we not see that coming? Oh my God. She innocently mentions to her jailer witch that her clothes feel too tight. The witch doesn't want any competition, so she chops off Rapunzel's hair and magically transport her far away, where she lives as a beggar with no money, no home, and after a few months, 2 hungry mouths to feed. As for the prince, the witch lures him up and then pushes him from the window. My God. Some thorn bushes break his fall, but also poke out his eyes. My God. But surprisingly, there is a happy ending. I don't know, unless the guy gets his eyes back. I'm not sure what the happy ending could be. Goldilocks and the Three Bears. In this tale's earliest known incarnation, there was no Goldilocks. Only the three bears and a fox named Scrapefoot, who enters the Three Bears' palace, sleeps in their beds, and messes around with their salmon of knowledge. I'm not kidding. It says salmon of knowledge. I don't know what that means. In the end, she either gets thrown out of the window. What is with getting thrown out of the window, guys? Or she gets eaten, which is also popular. It has been suggested that the use of the word vixen to mean female fox is how we got to Goldilocks. All right, that's the end of the blog. I think I'm going to leave it at that, guys, because editing is a bitch. I think that is really creepy, and it says a lot. It explains a lot about people that have been exposed to these things. But I've always maintained that fairy tales are pretty creepy and scary, and this just proves it even more. So, on that note, au revoir, and we'll see you next week.
You're on a GLP-1, but now you're wondering, how do I manage my side effects? What do I eat to stay strong? Because reaching your weight loss goals can take more than meds. That's where Weight Watchers Med Plus comes in. Get access to trusted experts, food plans that work with your body, and habit coaching to keep you on track. Plus access to GLP-1 medication. Get started at WeightWatchers.com. All medical services are provided through our affiliated medical group, Weight Watchers Clinic. Medications require eligibility and prescription. Individual results may vary. See site for more details.